Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with, if I could choose only one work by HAYDN. Oh, God. Oh, this one's going to kill me. It would have to be, what would it have to be? I mean, this is the guy who invented music since 1750. I mean, let's face it, a person who was so original and also evolutionary. Is there any one work that sums up his whole style? Well, no. There are only way stations along the way to ever new and fascinating and more original conceptions. So, it's ironic, really, when you think about it, that the guy who is sort of credited with inventing like all the rules for how to write symphonies and quartets and classical works in sonata form really followed none of them. I mean, he just wrote music and wrote music astoundingly well. And so I have to pick something, and I really thought about it. And I have come down on the side of, it's an album, the Paris Symphonies, because you get six. You get six of the suckers. I mean, I could have chosen some string quartets. I was dying. It was killing me. Or, the Creation or I don't know. But at the end of the day, I chose the Paris Symphonies. And this is why. First of all, you get six of them. That's permitted by the rules that the god Cancrozans has come down. We can do an album of Paris Symphonies, which means we can do, and there are a lot of good ones to choose from. I mean, that's really important because HAYDN has probably more lousy performances than any great composer. His music is difficult to do well, particularly if you do it with period instruments where it sounds pretty bad most of the time. I mean, it's much better on modern instruments because he was that kind of a thinker. It's going forward. It's almost as if he wrote this stuff with the modern orchestra in mind. And so I vastly prefer HAYDN with large forces and a big orchestra, but there are exceptions. There are always exceptions. There are fabulous performances of the Paris Symphonies by Thomas Fay with the Heidelberg Symphoniker, his period style, if not necessarily period instruments all the way through. Harnoncourts, which is amazing with Concentus Musicus Wien, one of the great things he did toward the end of his life. But the great sets, Bernstein, that's the one, the reference. Karajan even did a fabulous Paris Symphonies. Not so great with the London Symphonies, but the Paris Symphonies, amazing. They seem to be amenable to a big, ballsy approach from modern forces. And so, that's one reason to choose the Paris Symphonies, because you can hear them and they come off really well. You've got to start with Bernstein. Then I would do Harnoncourt. And then maybe Thomas Fay, and then Karajan. You get the whole range of what HAYDN can be with period instrument forces and modern forces. And you'll see that all of the performances require the same qualities: energy, transparency, rhythm, lots of rhythm. Fantastic. But aside from the fact that there are no duds, some are more popular than others. Like, for some reason, number 87, the last of them, the Paris Symphonies are numbers 82 through 87. And, for some reason, people don't play 87. I have no idea why not. It's wonderful. I mean, the finale has one of the most beautiful tunes Haydn ever wrote. Do 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 do, ya da 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 ba ba, ya da 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 ba, ba da 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 ba ba. I mean, it's absolutely lovely. What is there not to like? I wonder. I just think maybe the others are so great that, and maybe more self-evidently great. They have better titles. See, 87 doesn't have a title. But you get the Hen, the Queen, the Bear, and the greatest of them all, which is number 86, which has no title. So, yeah, there's no logic to any of this. But the real reason that I think we should go for the Paris Symphonies is because these are the works that made the symphony, the piece which became the highlight of the concert program, the public concert program. They were written for the orchestra of the Loge Olympique, conducted by the Chevalier de Saint-Georges or somebody like that in Paris. And it was a huge orchestra, which we know from Mozart's description of it, 40 strings, doubled winds. I mean, it was a big orchestra, 60-man orchestra, something like that. A lot of people. It was effectively a full-size modern orchestra. And for that reason, these pieces, although they're written for the normal forces that Haydn would have had, in Esterhazy, which is, double winds, single winds, sometimes one flute, a couple of them have trumpets and drums. The orchestras are not massive, but the pieces are massive. The music is massive. The music sounds best when played by large forces, where all the contrasts are big and bold and vigorous. And these are the symphonies that made the symphony, because prior to that, Haydn's symphonies were written for private performance. At the Esterhazy court, there was a small group of three of them, number 78, 77, and 76, I think, that he wrote possibly for performances in London, but he didn't know what the circumstances were going to be. And so, he wrote what he would normally write. But in this case, he knew he had a big professional crack orchestra at his disposal, and he was able to write with complete uninhibited abandon. Well, he always wrote with complete uninhibited abandon because Prince Esterhazy told him to, so it wasn't an issue. But these were big public symphonies. And I think for that reason, they are possibly, well, I hate to say the most, you get to these superlative adjectives in it, but the most important single group of works, of symphonic works in musical history, maybe. For what they foretold, for what they achieved, and what not even necessarily that other things were influenced by them. They were influenced by the concept that you could go to a concert and the most famous thing would not be the singer or the concerto soloist. The big deal was the symphony. And that was a huge, earth-shattering, revolutionary concept brought about by one guy, by Haydn, whose reputation had spread from, a swamp in Hungary all over Europe. By then he was the most famous composer in Europe. And of instrumental music, there was nobody who could touch him. And so I think the Paris symphonies are very, very, very important historically, and also equally characteristic of what Haydn could do in a range of works, 6 pieces, all of them different. Some of them very, very different. They have everything in them, from folk music to low comedy to tragic utterances to classical elegance and poise to enormous comedy and wit to oh my goodness. If Marie Antoinette could love one, why can't we, right? Okay, she got her head chopped off. Yeah. Anyway, the Paris symphonies are the ones. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.